Have you ever had a moment where you just weren't quite sure you could actually do it? Like that thing that you had hoped that you could do. Let's just say that we are talking about maybe your work, for instance. Like you've got this big project or you've got a team meeting, or you're attempting to fix something that is very, very broken, and you just like feel it in your gut that you're not sure you're doing enough. This podcast episode, it's a special one because I'm actually sharing with you the very message and tools that I gave as my keynote speech for a local company's Stream Retreat, literally just like 3 days ago. So I usually keep my keynote speeches for the audience that I wrote them for the people who are bringing me in. But this one, there's something special revealed itself while I was writing it. And well, of course, all of them, I feel like there's something special, but I wanted to leave it here as a gift for you too. So that the next time you're feeling like you're not doing enough, because we all ask ourselves that question, you can come back to this and you can listen in because it's going to change everything. And it's going to remind you that am I doing enough is the wrong question, and that you can find your answer on the other side of this very simple, very practical tool, the acronym F.R.E.E. I've seen how much it is just human nature for us to do that, for us to constantly ask, am I doing enough? In fact, I was sitting in my car just yesterday and I found that record playing going on repeat in my mind. Is it going to be enough? Am I doing enough? And in that moment, it's funny the things that we can teach or we can see for other people, but then actually applying them in our own life. In that moment, I remembered the very thing that I had talked about to a group of women in a keynote speech literally just 3 days prior. And I kid you not, it absolutely reminded myself of how to be F.R.E.E., how to be free in that moment, in that spiral from the am I doing enough? You see, free, so it's an acronym. I have taught pieces of that before, and it's never come out as that particular word. But when I was getting ready to speak at this particular group event, I just saw it differently than I ever have before. And so it revealed itself to me as free is being the key. And so if you're like most high achievers, I know we don't just have that thought around like, am I doing enough? We don't just have that thought when it comes to work. These thoughts sneak in and we're constantly asking ourselves, am I doing enough with our kids? Am I doing enough for my spouse? Am I doing enough for our friends? Am I doing enough for my parents? Am I doing enough for, heck, even my own self care? Like we're constantly asking ourselves and we're wrestling with this doubt of like, am I doing enough? I remember I had gone through a significant life pivot. So this was just 2.5 years after spending about 14 years in corporate leadership. I had a full faith moment where, without a plan, I jumped into entrepreneurship because I just knew that I had gotten stuck in a life chapter that was no longer serving me. And so I jump into entrepreneurship. Again, I said no plan, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm on the back porch and I have got my head in my hands and I am just sobbing. It's about 30 days into my journey and I was just a total wreck. And I'm sobbing and I'm telling my husband, I just don't feel like I'm doing enough. Am I doing enough? I just don't feel like I'm doing enough. But the thing I realized about asking myself that very same question, am I doing enough, is that I was focusing on the wrong question all along. Because it's never about how much we're doing or not doing. It's about the person who we're being. I heard this quote once. It's called, we're not called human doings, we're called human beings. So that woman with her face in her hands, it wasn't about what I was doing. It was actually about who I was becoming that mattered the most. And so, what I would want to share with you as you continue to listen to this episode is that the person who we are being at work, like the person who we are being for our clients, for our coworkers, for those projects, and then that, bleeding over into everything else that we do too. So, the person who we're being for our families, the person who we're being for our friends, for ourselves, that is actually what is leaving the biggest impact in the world. So, for today, what we're going to do is I am going to intentionally create a moment for you to just recognize who you are being really. And then my hope is that you recognize just how much that is the gift. And that gift out in the world is always enough. So when I gave this particular keynote speech, it was an active participant session with a lot of time baked in for real reflection, pen to paper. If you're in a spot where you can do that, I will tell you there's magic that happens when we put pen to paper. That would be ideal. But if it's just something that as you listen along, I won't pause nearly as much as I did. It just as you listen along, just you pause at your own pace, really absorb what I'm saying, really ask yourself the question, even if it is just something that you're talking to yourself or you're just putting, you're in the car listening and you and you just answer the question out loud. Like take the time because that's where this can really actually sink into our heart, mind, body, soul. So that's not just something we're listening to, but it's actually something that you have in your back pocket that can change you, that can change those thought patterns. And that's what that's the whole intention. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this simple way that in the moment where you are asking, am I doing enough? You can instead remind yourself of who you are being by being free. So F. F stands for favorite. And what I want you to do right now is I just want you to ask yourself, what is your favorite thing about yourself? So what is my favorite thing about me? And what happens, why I love this question, I always have. Why I love this question is because there's kind of a glitch that takes place when I ask folks this, just because we simply don't look inward enough. We're so focused. It's so natural for us to be focused on the external, on the outside, on comparing ourselves to what everybody else is doing. But this moment where we actually go, whoa, what is my favorite thing about myself? Especially when normally we're just hard on ourselves, it takes some intention. So as you're kind of thinking, what is my favorite thing about myself? If you want, now's a great time to pause. Or you can keep listening and thinking. We're multitaskers, or we sure do try to be, right? Where this question came from, it was actually a gift that was reflected back to me by my son. So it was his first day of first grade, and we have this tradition every year. We go to Starbucks, we get our breakfast sandwiches, mama gets her coffee, and we sit on this tailgate as the sunshine is like starting our day off, and we're just talking and we're kind of like pumping ourselves up for the day ahead. And so I'm doing the mom thing, right? I'm like, buddy, it's going to be such a great day. Man, I bet all your friends missed you from summer. Like, this is so good. What are you most excited for? Hey, what's your favorite thing about yourself? And like any, 6, 7-year-old boy does at that time, he's like, Mom, I am funny. I'm like, yes, you sure are, little dude. You are. And in that moment, he pops that question back to me. Mom, what's your favorite thing about yourself? And I do the glitch, right? Do the glitch. I'm like, man, wow, what a great question. Okay. Little dude, my favorite thing about myself is my courage. I am doing things I've never done before, and I just keep showing up, and that takes real courage. My favorite thing about myself is my courage. So, what is your favorite thing about yourself? And I actually challenge you to get 3 things down. Not just one, but 3 things. Like what are some of your favorite things about yourself? And again, what we're doing in this moment is we're turning down the volume on everything else around us, and we're turning up the volume on that inner truth, that intuition, that the qualities about ourselves. So when we do that, That is just, it's giving ourselves a moment to show up with like the most fulfilling parts of ourselves, the things we're proud of. What's our favorite thing about ourselves? All right. The next letter in the F.R.E.E acronym is R. But before I tell you what R stands for, here's the action part I need from you is I just want you to think about someone who you really admire. Someone who you know well, so not just like some celebrity, like but like someone who you actually know well. Who do you admire and why? So think about, maybe it is a coworker, maybe it's a leader, maybe it's your family, maybe it's your best friend. So think about that person, and I want you to really just either sit with, reflect on, write it down, whatever it is. But I want you to think about that person. And when I asked this group of women just a few days ago, I will tell you, it was really neat to see just how much we really do care and we really do know and see one another. Because again, we're so busy that we're just like flying by the seat of our pants. And I think that even just asking to like, hey, how are you today? Good, 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 good. And we all move on. I don't think that we give each other enough credit for how much like we really do want to connect and we really do admire the people in our lives. So think about that one person for you who you're thinking about right now. Probably have at least a few things that come to mind, like three people. I know maybe it's, you really admire how much someone loves on their family. You really admire how fearless and courageous someone is. Okay. All right. Now, before I reveal what R is, I'm going to tell you another story. So, I was at a conference. This is a couple years ago. It was the Powerhouse Women conference. And that with Lindsay Schwartz. At that conference, I remember sitting in the chair and I'm looking up at, Lindsay while she's on stage. And this woman, she's stunning. She is like just exuding just strength and confidence and this magnetic energy. And I remember sitting there thinking all of those things like, man, one day I want to be like her. I want to be like her. And literally, as I am thinking that in my brain, I'm going to share the same thing that she shared with us. And it was that in order for you to really admire someone, like admiration, that's a deep feeling. In order for you to admire someone, you have to like be deeply innately familiar with that quality to even be able to recognize it. So if you said, "Hey, I just love how fearless that person is," the only reason that you recognize and you appreciate a fearlessness is because somewhere deep in your body, your nervous system, your soul, your heart, mind, body, soul, you already know that feeling. So when you are sitting there and you are admiring someone, just know that that is a reflection. There's your R. That is a reflection of who you already are, too. It's a mirror. It's a mirror. So whatever you wrote down or whatever you thought about that person who you admire most, that quality, it's already in you. It's already most likely the way that you are showing up out in the world too. You're just not giving yourself enough credit for it. So, whatever it was, I just want you to take a moment. Okay. We're going to like seal this in. Think about those qualities that you said that you admire. And either you're going to write down, or I want you to say this sentence, because this is, again, really how we ground this thing in our body. And this isn't just becoming something that we listen to. And then an hour later, you totally forgot that you even spent the time listening. All right. So you're going to write down or think about like the complete sentence here. You're going to start with an identity statement. So I am. And you are going to fill in the blank with those qualities that you just thought about for that person. I am fearless. I am so smart. I am organized. I am a risk taker. I am, what were some? I'm trying to think of some of the ones that I heard from the women. Just empathetic, funny. I am, whatever it is, I am, fill in those qualities. And then the last part of the sentence is just as important. And to yourself, you're either thinking or you're going to write down these words. And that is why I recognize this light in others too. And that is why I recognize this light in others too. So I am all of those qualities. And that is why I recognize this light in others too. R is for reflection. All right. Our next letter is E. Like I said, pause this if you need to, but if not, let's keep rolling. All right. Our next letter is E for expand. All right. So there's a buzzword that's been going around for the last couple of years that I just want to take a moment to address. That buzzword is imposter syndrome. And I've dug in. I am not a licensed therapist. Okay. I don't have like an education in all of in that field. But what I can tell you is from direct experience that I am a woman who spends a lot of time with other people who are constantly doubting themselves. And here's what I've noticed is that imposter syndrome is a term that we have almost like handed ourselves as permission to use anytime we're not feeling like enough. Anytime we are comparing ourselves to what someone else is doing or has or seems to be further along at, anytime we wonder if our credentials are enough or if we can really step into that thing in front of us, it's become this almost like acceptable way to say, hey, there's doubt. I'm unsure. I don't belong here. And it just kind of sums it all up. And it's focusing on the wrong thing. So I really started rethinking what I believed about imposter syndrome. It was back in January. And I was about ready to head into a phone call with a mentor who I had dreamed about working with. I had followed this woman for 6 years, I believe. She is known as a maker of millionaires. She's like everything I've ever seen or known or heard about her. She's just incredible human being. And I was about ready to end up on this call in consideration for she had seen some of the stuff that I was doing and was inviting me into her mastermind. And I was stunned. I remember it. And I called up my girlfriend and I was like, this is crazy. I have this call in a couple minutes with this woman. Like, who do I think I am? Who do I think I am? And right then and there, my girlfriend said, Britt, of course you're about ready to have this call with this dream mentor. Of course, Britt, look at what you have. Like, look at how you have shown up. Look at how you have grown. Look at what you have been preparing for. And she went down a long list of all the things like that I had shown up in over the last year, that I had grown in or challenged myself with. She was like, of course you have this call because you're ready for it. You deserve it. You've earned it. You are here by design. I think that imposter syndrome tries to convince us that we don't belong in rooms or tables or sessions or conversations or circles or wherever, whenever we feel like it. I think it tries to convince us that we don't belong, but the mere and obvious truth of like, you are here is in fact evidence that you are indeed no imposter. You are there because you deserve to be there. You have the skills to be there. Like nobody's feet carried you into the room or carried you into that conversation that you were not equipped for. So the second that feeling shows up, like it's I think sometimes like we feel like it's working against us. But what I would offer up is that it's actually proof. It's proof that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And knowing that is how you switch out of imposter syndrome and you expand. Remember, that is our first E. You expand into this immense amount of confidence. So even, I would even write down that it's expand confidence because I want your confidence to expand because you know that you are right where you are exactly meant to be. Okay. And to like really get this into our system, really get this into our body, what I want us to do is we're going to do this 3 times over again. Okay. So I am going to say, you are here. And you are going to respond either out loud or in your head, wherever you're at. You are going to respond with, of course I am. Like almost like with that tone that it would be stupid. Like, duh, of course I am. And we're just going to go back and forth 3 times so that you can really like feel this, but also do it with the kind of energy, again, all depending on your surroundings. Do it with the kind of energy that you would be proud of, that would really like feel this. Of course I am. So we're going to do it 3 times. All right. So first I'm going to say, ready, 3, 2, 1. So I'm going to say, you are here. And you're going to say, of course I am. You are here. Of course I am. You are here. Of course I am. Yeah. Expand that confidence because, of course, you are the person who was meant to be here. Woo. Yeah. All right. That brings us to our final E. The final E in the F.R.E.E framework is embody. Embody. So I've done enough work to know that that the best thing that you could do for yourself is if you are trying to initiate some type of thought pattern change or a habit change or whatever it may be, some type of change in your life, is that the best thing that you could do is to get your heart, mind, body, and soul engaged in that same direction so that you got everything like working for you. So what I want you to do, again, if you can, if you're driving, you better be safe here. But I want you to actually take in this motion. So hold on. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. what you're going to do is you're end up going to taking both hands over your heart. Okay. And I want us to go back to the very beginning of this when you thought about those 3 things that were your favorite parts of yourself. And I want you to see how those very things, those 3 things, they are in fact the gift that you are already giving the world by just being you. So what you're going to do, those 3 things, is you're going to take your hands over your heart and you're going to say, the gift I give the world is my. And then when you say your quality, your favorite quality, you're going to kind of like do this, like you're giving this away, like you're going to open up your hands, like you're giving it away, because that's what you're doing. So it's that motion. It's like, the gift I give the world is my courage. The gift I give the world is my, I don't know, my brilliance, my love. I don't know, whatever it is for you, my empathy, my humor, my organization. I don't know, whatever it is. All right. So the gift I give the world is my. And you do that for each of those things that you said was your favorite thing. So take the time to do that right now. Do your 3 states. The gift I give the world is my. 1. Gift I give the world is my. And the gift I give the world is my. Okay. So while you're doing this, again, what you're doing is this is how you actually embody who you are already being. It's recognizing the gifts that you're already giving away, that every single day to every person in your path without being asked, and usually without even noticing. You don't have to try harder to be enough. You already are. Every time you walk into a room and you're just simply you. So I hope you see that when you are spiraling in the am I doing enough, that you can remind yourself to stop and just be free, to acknowledge your favorite things about yourself, to reflect back on what you admire in others and remember that that's a mirror to some of your best qualities. That's how you know them. To expand that confidence by pushing out to the side and saying, of course I am here, like you own it. And then embody. Embody that with your hands over your heart motion. Remind yourself that outward, hey, the gifts I already give naturally are these things. Because it has never, been about what you are doing. It's about who you are being. That's what leaves the lasting impact. That's what people remember. That's why you keep showing up every single day. That's the gift, and that has always been enough. So go be free. Until next time, bye. Hey, thanks for listening to today's episode. It means the world to me that you're here to ride in the struggle bus with me and that you're willing to consider different perspectives, tools, and techniques that just might provide a little bit of relief and get you one step closer to the abundance that is available and waiting for us all. I hope you take a moment to grant yourself some grace where you've been denying it, some love where you didn't realize maybe it was right in front of you, and some faith where you thought all was lost. If this episode had an impact on you, would you please share a comment with a review? I'd love to hear what landed for you, and it helps us get the word out to our fellow struggle bus riders. So please review what was impactful for you. Just know these episodes are a pure labor of love in a space where I'm growing alongside you. I'm evolving every day, and I look forward to all the ways and the things and the perspectives and opinions and choices that will change over the course of time in my own life, day to day. Until next time, just know that you are loved, you are divinely cared for, and in the struggle, the journey of this life really is beautiful. I'm glad that we're in it together. Cheers.